What's up, everybody? Going to go back through some of these props again today. We'll be going off of my overall consensus board again. This is going to hopefully find some middle props where there's value, but it's not going to be home run type plays or anything like that. This column right here will be the actual rank for the day. It will go down to this column here. This will all be today. These are for tomorrow below. I do have it sorted by team. I'm going to go through all these players for you. If we go through yesterday, again, board rank, I don't have it sorted by rank. I have it sorted by team. Because if you look at it by the game, or by game, I mean, if you look at it by the game, Con Knipple had two threes yesterday. Everybody else hit theirs. The Orlando Oklahoma City game, missed two in there. Missed one in the Detroit Washington game with Cade leaving after 5 minutes. So, I mean, his were paid back if you were on the right app. If you were on a different app, then you would have lost. Missed one in this New York game. So the ones that missed a lot, San Antonio, second day of a back-to-back, going to Sacramento, and then Denver playing just an overmatched Philadelphia team that is completely injured. So I'm going to go through each of these game by game. Hopefully that'll give you, if you want to do same game parlays or something with it, or just find the actual games that will have the better props to bet on today. So I will go, let me get back into Python. All right, so I'm going to start with Golden State and Boston. I will, like I said, I'm just going to go through game by game, go through the ones that were on that list. Not necessarily saying I love all of them right away, so I'll let you know what I think as we're going through. First one is Sam Hauser. It likes him for 2 3-pointers. If we look at Sam Hauser, on the last 25 games, he has hit this line in 80% of those games, averaging 2.9. Overall in the season, he's hit it 70% of the time, almost at 2.5. If we go back to the recent, he has been better on the road. He has hit this in 91.7% of road games, and 3.75 is the average on road games. Tonight is at home, and he's only averaging 2.15, and he's hit it in 70%. So still not bad at home for a 2, but definitely has been better on the road. The model's predicting him at 2.36, and it has him at about 67% chance to go over. In the 10 closest games by Similarity, he's hit this line in 6 of the 10 and averaged 2.3 in those games. So if we look at the last home game, he did have 0. These are going to be the road games here. So he has one road game where he's had 1. Everything else has been above 2. When he's been playing at home, he's had a little bit more of a struggle. Still not terrible, but all these blue dots will be the closest games by Similarity score. He's had 2 and 3 of them, and he had 1 in the other. So he has hit the line in 3/4 of those games. The yellow, the next closest, he has a 5, a 4. But then that last game, the 0 was one of those close dots. So nothing overwhelming wanting me to take this, but I do see where the model's going. I can see why it likes it. We'll check out Peyton Pritchard. We'll start with his threes. It also likes him for 2. Now, him I like a little bit better. If we go through this, recent games, he's only hit it in 60%, averaging 2.5. On the season, 62%, averaging 2.5 still. He has also been better on the road, but he's hit it in half of the games for the recent at home too. So 14 of the last 25 he's played in have been at home, and he's hit it in 7 of those. It is giving him 2.3 and a 67% chance of hitting it today. He had 5 in the last game. He had none in the game before that. So, but if you look at these blue dots, these are the ones where the model finds this game similar. So he had 6 and 5 on the road. If you go to home, he has 1, but he also has a 5, he has a 4, and he has a 2. So I think he has a little bit more upside. I do think Boston could end up in a blowout situation, and he could get a few more minutes tonight, which will also end up helping him. Golden State, obviously banged up. I don't think they're going to defend that too well. I think you could also take him. Well, I guess we'll go with assists next, but look at his overall too. I guess all these blue dots are up here. When he's what he's averaged against the teams with that similarity score is 3.8. So that's why I like him a little bit more. If we look at Sam Hauser, his average versus the same is about 2.2. So versus teams where they've matched up similar to what they're going to see tonight, he is averaging 1.1 and a half more threes. So I do like Pritchard for the two a little bit better than Hauser. Let's look at his assists now. It likes him for 5 assists. Again, if you look at these blue dots, they are up there. He has an 8 and a 9 on the road. He's been at 5 or more on every single game at home. So 6.8 is the average against these teams. There's one yellow dot below, which is the next closest. The rest are going to be the mid and far, so the game's furthest away from what the model is comparing it to after it does all of the composite score. If you haven't watched the video before, the composite score, it differs depending on what the metric is. On assists, it's going to look at defensive rating first. That'll be the primary metric, and that's what is down here. But it's also going to look at pace. It's going to look at opponents' points. It's going to look at a lot of different metrics, team metrics, individual metrics, and try to see how they match up. And then it'll give an overall. The closest 10 games will be output here. So in the closest 10 games, 8 of those 10, he's hit the line of 5, and he's averaged 5.6. So if you look at on the season, he's hit this in 60%, averaging 5.2 in that's the last 25 games. On the season is 61% and 5.3. So in recent games at home, he has averaged under this, but the hit rate is at 64%. So if we go back to the home, these are dragging it down. He has some zeros. Those are games where it's not thinking it's very similar to tonight's matchup. All the ones that are similar to tonight's matchup are all up here. He's got a couple 3/8s. He's got some 5s and some 6s. So Peyton Pritchard for assists looks pretty good to me. I do think he'll probably get to 5. The model has him right at 5 with a 59% chance of getting over. But from everything I can see, it does look good. Next one is going to be Jaylen Brown. It does like him for 5 assists as well. So on the road, he only has one blue dot. He was at 7. He's got some yellow dots that are down below, a little lower. At home, these blue dots are a little bit higher. He has 1, 2. That was back on February 1st, so quite a while ago. All of the recent games have been pretty steady. If you look at the overall games, he only has 2 since the All-Star break that have been below 6. He's been 6 or better in all of the other games. Even in San Antonio, when he got ejected after 15 minutes, he had 7 assists in that game. So his assists have been really good, especially with Tatum coming back. I do believe he's playing tonight. That just helps him out, gives him another place to pass the ball. Boston offense looks a lot better when they have everybody playing. So he's hit this in 5 of the closest 10 games, averaging 5 on that. The model has him at 6 on the prediction and 75% to go over. So you got to think with this, yeah, he's only hit it in 5 of the 10 games, but this has been a team that has been very inconsistent all year with who has been playing, with how the offense has been going. So things recently looking a lot better, and it looks pretty solid. I can see why the model is definitely putting this one out. It does have him predicted at 6. Like I said, these aren't the actual lines. These are going off of bases of 5, 7, 10, or points as 15, 20, 25, things like that. So it's not going to look at individual numbers in between there. It's just going to give me a rounded number, and then based on how you feel about it, you can either buy it down, you can take it at the regular line, go from there. Next one is going to be Jaylen Brown's rebounds. Oh, that's not going to work. All right. His rebounds, it has him for 7. So if we look at his line for 7, he's hit this in 76% of the last 25 games, averaging almost 8 in that time, 7.7. On the season, he's averaging about 7, and he's hit it in 58% of the games. So recently at home, he's hit this line in almost 79% of the games, averaging 7.4. On the road, he's even been a little better on the average, a little worse on the hit rate. So the model has him at 7.5 for rebounds. It has him at a 61% chance to clear this. And in the closest 10 games, he's had this in 8 of the 10, averaging 8. So if we look at the blue dots again, he has one up at 11. He has one at 9. He has one at 8. Those are the road games. But at home, he has still been 7 or better on all of the blue dots. he has this one yellow dot again down here. Um, that no, the San Antonio was on the road, but one of those low games, that was the ejection game. He had 2 in 15 minutes, and that is one of the very few that's under this line right now. He also missed against Washington. I would imagine that was probably not putting in his full effort, which could be an issue again today. Golden State, if they don't get the minutes, maybe he'll fall a little bit short. So maybe you want to take him down to. It really doesn't look like you're going to gain much by taking him down any. He has 2 at 6. Everything else has been 4 or below. There will be no value at 4 or below. So 7 and above is definitely going to be where you're going to want to try to take this, I think, if you play it. Excuse me. Next, we're going to look at Derek White. And we'll look at his points first. Likes him for 15. His line, I'm not sure where it's at today. On the road, he's been right around. A couple games under, 1 game over. At home, still right around, but the ceiling has been a little higher. He's got a couple games that are over 20. Recently, he's been hitting it in a lot of the games, but the most recent games haven't been the closest similarity. So obviously the team's changing. That could open things up for him. I think it'll probably help his 3-pointers a little more than his overall points. But he has hit this line in 60% of the games. In the last 25, he's averaged 16.4 over that time. On the season, he's averaged 17.6, and he's hit that line in 70% of the game. So in the last 25, it has dropped a little bit, 10% on the hit rate, and a little over a point on the average. If we look at his prediction, it is at 17, and it's giving him a 63% chance to hit it. And it has him at 50% on the closest 10 games, only averaging 14. So that is under the 15. That is something that I would worry about a little bit. Just the fact that these blue, all the colors are mixed. When I'm looking at this, I really want to see a little bit of a separation. If they're all mixed, that tells me that the way that they play is a little bit unpredictable, or the way they get guarded has been a little unpredictable. Maybe just the team rotation, things like that. So I want something that's going to be a little bit more consistent. This isn't one that I would necessarily take. It does like him for 3-pointers as well. Is it 2 or 3? For 3. Oh, too many R's. All right. So for 3-pointers, he has hit this line in 56% of the most recent 25 games, averaging 2.7 in that time. A little bit down on average and a little bit down on hit rate for the seasons, but not too much different. He has been better at home, though. He has hit this in 57% of the games at home, averaging 2.8. So below on the average, but more than half of the games he has hit the line. The prediction is only at 2.6, and it has him at 52.5% to hit that, or to go to 3. And it has him only hitting it in 5 of the 10 closest games, averaging 2.7 in those games. So go to the graphs. He has a 2. He has a 4 on the road. The yellow is also at the 4. If you go to the home, recently he has been doing really well since the All-Star break. He only has this one, which was one of the closest games. Looks like that was going to be, who was that? Chicago? No. It's going to be Dallas. That Dallas game, he did only get 2. Dallas defends the 3-pointer pretty well. So, I mean, all the rest of these are 3 or above. He has 5 of the last 6 at home that have been above that. If you go to the overall, he's only missed it in 3 of the overall games since the All-Star break. One of them was the first game. One was that Dallas game. And then he had a 0 against Cleveland on the road. So with everything opening up on the offense a little bit, if everybody is healthy and going, I do think Derek White could be a pretty good option for 3-pointers. If he's going to get anything, I do like the 3s better than the points, because just recently he hasn't had as many dibs. I think if you want to play him at 2, that would obviously take a lot more of the risk out. And then the only Golden State player that it gave me was Brandon Pajemski for 2 3-pointers. If you look, I guess let me pull his up for more recently, because obviously with with all of the injuries that they've had recently, he looks way different on this now. So, oh, put 15. Oh, all right, I'll get this right one of these times. All right, 1.5, 15 games. All right, so in recent games on the road, he's only missed this line in 2 of the games. He had 1. He's had 2 in all of the other games. He's had a 4. He's had that 2 recently. At home, he had 1 at 3. Did have a couple misses on the yellow. But overall, these blue dots have been looking pretty good. He's been at a 3 average out of the 3 games in the last 15 that have hit that closest mark. He's only hit it in half of the games, but like I said, his role has definitely increased recently. The minutes are up, the 3-pointers are up. At home, he's averaging 2, hit it in 43% of the game. On the road, he's hit it in 75% of the games, averaging 2.5. So on the road, he has been better, especially recently. Model has him at just over 2, has him at 65% chance to hit it. And it looks good for 2. I don't If you wanted to try to ladder him up or something, I could see a possibility going higher. Obviously, one could happen, but if you look at the road games, 2 or better has been pretty solid for him. The last time he missed with even a close game was back at the end of February. So I like Brandon Pajemski. I don't know what else you would really want to use from Golden State, perhaps his rebounds or something, but that was the only one the model gave me. Next, we'll go to the Oklahoma City game against Brooklyn. Last I checked, Oklahoma City hadn't released their full injury report. I would imagine probably Chet or Hartenstein are going to sit out. Normally, one of them do on the second day of a back-to-back, but we'll have to see. Chet, though, for 7 rebounds, does have him hitting this line in 88% of his last 25 games, averaging 10 in that time. On the season, still 85%, averaging 9. He has been better at home. He's hit this line in all of the home games in the last 25, so 13 of those, and averaged 12 in that time, where on the road, he's only hit it in still 75% of the time, but his average is only 7.92. So he's averaging 4 less on the road in that same time. So that's not something that looks really good, but the fact they're playing against Brooklyn obviously does look good. These blue dots, all 7, 10, 9, and then he has this 1 at 4. That would be against Phoenix down here. He played 20 minutes. He only had 4 rebounds. His minutes, obviously, even if he does play, second day of a back-to-back, should be easier competition. I wouldn't expect him to play a lot of minutes, so I don't think I would go a whole lot higher than the 7. Obviously, recently he has been doing really well. I would just worry about his minutes more in this game. Model hasn't predicted it almost 10. It gives him 78% chance to hit 7. So that does look good. If you look at Similarity for rebounds, it goes off of possessions for the primary metric. The possessions for Brooklyn have been right around 98. So if you go in that one, he's hit that line in about 71% of the games and 7.5. So that is the lowest quartile by average, by hit rate, everything. So while it seems pretty good, there's a lot there that makes me kind of question whether he'll actually end up getting there. The second day of a back-to-back is one of the things. So, all right, next it has, I did his rebounds again, meant to do his points. Likes him for 15 points as well. He has hit that line in 60% of the most recent 25, averaging 16 in that time. On the season's been a little better, 65% and 17.3. The most recent splits have actually been pretty close on the average. He's averaged just under 16 and just over 16, but the hit rate is 77% at home and only 42% on the road. Again, this is one where it seems like it should be a really good matchup. That's what that model looks for, is good matchups along with consistency and things like that. But there's too many things in this game that I just don't like for it. So I'm not going to stick around on that one. I'm going to go to Hartenstein. If he does play, it likes him for 7 as well. You look at the road games, he has missed this in 5 of the last 7. Um, in the last 25 games, overall, he's hit it in 72% of the games. He's averaged 8.3. On the season, he's hit it in 81% of the games, 9.3. But that's also something to look at here. This goes all the way back to November because of all of his injuries. So if we bring him up and just put him in 6.5, we'll do the last 15 games or even just 10 for him. 10 games still goes back all the way to almost the beginning of February. So he has some 9s. He's got a 4. He just hasn't been playing much. He had a group here. He missed a lot. He came back. He had 12. For some reason, this isn't showing his game last night. He had 7 last night. I'll have to try to rescrape yesterday's data and see if it pops in again. But he had 7 last night. So down here. So when he plays, when he gets minutes, definitely a good option. His injuries, second day of a back-to-back, I would imagine he's probably the one that's going to sit out. But if he does play, if he does get the minutes, I do think he looks good. If we look at Shea, likes his assists. His assists look a little bit better today than they did last night. Um, I didn't like it at all yesterday, even though he was on the list. I think he only finished with a couple, maybe even one. So recently, he's been doing pretty well. Similar games, he has only been at 5. So if you wanted to try to play him down around 5, I could see that being decent. But just the the competition, the way it's matching up with Brooklyn, with their pace, with their the points they score, possibility of a blowout, second day of a back to back. He may be sitting the fourth quarter, and he may get stuck around that 5 line. Um, let's see if we. So most of these games, he's been pretty consistent on minutes. Even the lowest minutes, he did get to 9, which is in what they're considering the closest. Dallas, he only got to 5. So again, if you wanted to try to take him at 5 and bundle him with something for assists, you could try to do that. But I don't think his assists would be, again, something I would be looking at for today's matchup. And then the only Brooklyn player it gave me was Danny Wolf for rebounds. If we look at his rebounds on the last 25, he has hit 5 in 68% of those games. He's averaged 5.7 in that time. That's better than on the season. He's only hit it in 51% on the season and averaged 4.9 on the season. His minutes obviously have been improved. I would keep an eye on Michael Porter Jr. on this game. If Michael Porter Jr. plays, I don't know that he'll get as many minutes. Perhaps he will. Brooklyn doesn't seem to quite have a set rotation right now, at least not from what I can tell. They're still trying to figure things out a little bit. So when Danny Wolf gets the minutes, when he gets a decent matchup, he can get the rebounds. But he also has a couple games. Detroit, he only played 19 minutes. He ended up with 3. Miami, he only played 14 minutes. He ended up with 3. Dallas, he only played 14 minutes. He ended up with 3. So the minutes are definitely the thing to keep an eye out on him. The model is predicting him at 4 or 5.4 and a 62% chance to go over. Recent games, this game is at home. He has hit this line in 80% of the home games, so 8 of those 10, and 6.2 average in that time. So there's things that look good, but he's a very minutes driven player. I think he's still a rookie. Um, so unless you know for sure he's going to be playing and Porter Jr. is out, I think I would probably stay away. Next game is going to be Portland going to Indiana. It likes Tamani Kamara for rebounds, 4.5. So on the road, he has been doing really well. The Blue Dots, he has a 9, a 10, and a 5 in the most recent. At home, it's been a little bit worse. Overall, kind of all over the place. But if you look on the road, he's been really solid. So in the last 25 games, he's hit this line in 64% overall, averaging about 6. On the road, he's hit it in 77%, averaging 6.15. So his average is 0.5 better. He's hit it in 25% more games, 27% more games on the road than he has at home. Obviously, Indiana has had a very long injury report for a long time. So keep an eye on that. I know Siakam was questionable. Nemhard was questionable. I don't think Zubac's had an injury designation today, so he should be good to go. So Indiana's it's kind of hard to know if these blue dots will be similar because Indiana has been a different team at many different times in this season. So the model has Kamara at 5.5, has him at 66% chance to go over. He's only hit it in 4 of the 10 closest games, averaging about 4.8 in those games. So again, I think it could be a good look if you wanted to take it. Not wouldn't be my favorite pick, but there's a lot going in that direction that looks pretty good. It also likes his 3 pointers. If we look at his 3 pointers, he has hit this line in 72% of the games, averaging 2.4. On the road, he is averaging 2.2, and 77% of the games he's hit it in. So his average is a little lower on the road, but his hit rate is a little bit better, about 10% better. So I wouldn't expect him to go off for 4 or 5, but to hit the 2 does seem pretty reasonable. The model has him at 2.5 and a 75% chance to go over. He only had 1 in the previous matchup, so that's also something to consider. But he was at home in that game. If we look at the home, again, he's very, very low on this. He just has that 8 that drug the average up. We're on the road. He has some 4s, some 3s. So, but not as many 1s. Not He had no 0s though at home. That's another thing. He has some 0s on the road. Those are not closest matchups. It's a red and a green dot. So for 2, it does look very good. I don't think I would be playing him much higher than that. It also like Jarris Walker. Oh, that's not gonna work. For 5 rebounds. I do believe this line is a little low for him. I think his line is closer to 7. But this is what the model gave me for what it liked. So if it's the odds are good enough, you may be able to parlay it together, get something, but might not be something that you'll find good odds on. You may have to go up a little higher if you want it. So on the road, it has some lower blue dots, but overall pretty good for 5 or better. At home, all of the lower ones are in that mid range, and the blue dots are at 6, 10, with the yellow dots at 10 and 9. So that looks good for the home. If you look at the overall, most of these dots have been at 5 or better. Again, I think his line is at 7, which would be where this dot is. So these 6s would miss, but a lot of these would be 7 or better up here, especially in the recent games. The similar game or similar matchups have all been better. They've been at that 9, 10, 12 mark. So seems like it could be a decent matchup for him, but getting injuries back in that lineup could also hurt him a little bit. I'm not sure how he's going to fit when Siakam comes back in. So if Siakam is a go, I would expect him to probably end up farther down around this 5 or 6 line. Uh, but on the season, he's hit this or on the last 25, he's hit it in 76%, averaging 6.3 overall. On the season, averaging just 5 and hit it in 52% overall. So like I said, I would imagine that would be more where he would be at if Siakam does come back. He has been about the same at home on the road for average. Better hit rate on the road, though. Overall in the season, definitely been better on the road. The model has him at 6.3, 74% chance to go over. He has not hit it in the matchup that he already played against him. He only had 3. He's only hit it in 5 of the 10 similar matchups, averaging 4.8. So again, if Siakam sits, I do think it would be a decent look. If Siakam plays, I would not probably go for that. Nemhard, it likes his 3s if he plays on the road. Has all these ones that have missed have been close or closest. At home, that's still kind of the same. So I think there's way too many of the close and closest on the bottom to even dig into this too much. For me personally, obviously the ceiling is up there. He can get 5, he can get 4, he can get 3. But too many blue and yellow dots in that bottom half for me, with only 1 red and 1 green. But on the season, he's hit this line in 58%, averaging just under 2. More recent games, he's been averaging just above, and the hit rate is better. But he's been in and out of the lineup quite a bit. So I don't know. The model has him at 2.2, 69% chance to go over. He's hit it in 4 of the 10 closest at 1.8 average. So I can see why the model kind of likes him at 2. Definitely a chance, but not something I'm rolling with. It also likes his assists if he plays, likes him for 7. This looks a little bit better to me. Still, the closest or close games are below, but the closest games are above. That is on the road. At home, again, one close, but the one blue dot is up there over 10, with most of the yellow dots up there as well. And then if Siakam does play, I think that'll help him out as well. If once they get healthier and once he's healthy, he gets a lot of assists. So I think a lot of these that he's missing has just been him, like 17 minutes. So that was part of it. That was the first game coming back after missing. So just injuries to him, injuries to other people, I think are his biggest thing that could hinder it. Obviously against Portland, I don't think that's a bad matchup. So he when he played against them recently, he did have 9 in 28 minutes. So again, if they're healthy, if he's healthy and going, I think Nemhard is a piece that you could go with. Siakam, I'll just look at him real quick. I don't expect him to play. I don't know. He was questionable when I looked, so I'll throw him on here. 20 points or better if he is playing, if it looks like he can still get it. The only game he really missed were these two right here. One against Milwaukee, one against Toronto. He had 19, he had 18. Nothing else is even below 18. Well, I guess 110 way back there. So everything else is 18 or above since last year. So I would take him for 18 or higher, even coming off of an injury. If he's playing, looks good to me. Averaging 25 in the last 25 he's played, hit it in 88% of the games. 24 on the season, hit it in 80% of the games. At home, 91% hit rate. So looks good to me. Model has him at 24 if he plays, 65% chance to go over. Last one is going to be Drew Holiday. Liked him for assists at 4.5. So on the road, he has just this one on the closest. That is at 5. The yellow ones, he's got some 5, got a couple 7, and he's got one down here at 2. That 2 would be Philly. When he played at Philly, he played 24 minutes, only had 2. At home, the Blue Dots have been a little better. Yellow, a little worse. So overall, recently, looks like 4 or better would be a safer bet, but those are not even in the closest metrics. So he's got some 2s. He's got a 3. Go back to the road. That 1, 2. I don't know. If Abdia's playing, if everybody's healthy for them, Grant, everybody's going. He'll probably get to 5. Not sure exactly what happened in that 2 game to keep him down there, but he's been pretty steady on the road for the 5. I don't think it would be a terrible option, depending on the odds. No, if the odds are terrible for 5, I don't think I would want to take him up too much. So the odd dependent on the 5 if you can find him for something decent to play it with there, but don't go up too much on that. I don't think. All right, this was the number 1 pick from the model for today. This also is below his line. I think his line is also around 7 for today. I could be wrong, but got Toronto going to Chicago. Barrett has him for 5. If you look, everything on the road has been 5 or better, at least since February. If you look at home, still pretty much everything other than this one all the way back there, which he's been out with injuries and stuff all in this time. So I wouldn't worry too much that far back. Everything recent has been at 5 or better, 6 or better. So the model has him at 6.4, has him at a 74% chance almost to hit it. He's hit it in 80% of the most recent 25, averaging 5.8 in that time. On the season, 5.5, and hit it in 67%. So they're on the road, like I said, over 80% of the last 25 games. The ones that have been on the road were 11. He's hit that in 82% of the games, averaging 5.6. So better average at home, better hit rate on the road. On the season, everything's been better at home, but like I said, the injuries that he was having earlier in the season I would focus more on recent play. In recent play, he's got this one dot right here, that's under the legend here, that is at 4, but everything else has been 5, 6, mostly 6 and better. So looks really good. 70% of the games, 7 of the 10 closest games, he's gone over, hitting 5.4 in those games. If you look at the possessions, very high on the possessions in this matchup. Fast pace from Chicago, and he's hit it in 5 of the 6 games, averaging 5.8 in those. They did play recently, right? Oh yeah. So he had 6 in the previous matchup. That one was also in Chicago. 25 minutes, 6 rebounds. So I do think 6 or better looks pretty good. If you can find decent odds for 5, it'll take a little bit of the risk away. If you wanted to go 7, that's definitely going to add some risk because 6 is his sweet spot. There are a lot right there with just a few going up and even less going down. So, and also like Brandon Ingram, also for 5 rebounds. Oh, damn. All right. So on the road, he has 5 and 6 on the blue. The yellows are even better. He only has this one way back here that was yellow or blue that is under. Again, those are the closest and the close teams by matchup. At home, even better. So if you look at overall, it's all red, it's all green down here, except for one yellow all the way back at the end of January. The closest games have averaged 7.3. So it does look very good. Last time he was in Chicago, he had 8. When Chicago was in Toronto, he had 6. So he's done really well in the matchup. Closest 10 games by similarity. He's actually hit this in all 10 games. He's averaged 7.7 in those 10 matchups. So 7 looks like a pretty good line. 5 and 6 have been. 5 is what I would consider his floor. If you can find a good line for 5, I would definitely take that. But if you need to go up, I do think that you can go up on Ingram. He's shown that he can get 6, he can get 8 against them. Against similar teams, he's getting 6 or better. So both him and Barrett look pretty good for the rebounds. It also likes Ingram for his points. It has him at 20. I'm assuming this is probably going to be a little bit under his line, probably closer to 25 because he's been smashing this. He does have this one close game that was against Houston. He only had 9 points. Rough. But other than that, he's been above this 20-point line against the closest matchups by the model. He's averaged 26 points in the road games. If you go to home, still been doing well. He has this one back on February 8th. Would have been against Indiana. He only had 13. But against Chicago, he had 33. Against Chicago, he had 31. So that would be this game and this game were the 2 Chicago games. All these other blue dots above 20. So I do think 20 is a very good floor to take him at. You can worry about these 2 guys down here. I wouldn't worry too much about those 2 guys. While it is close can come both directions, going in a team that's worse and going for a team that is better. Chicago is definitely worse than these 2 teams I guess they're kind of close to Dallas, but they're definitely worse than Houston. So I would not expect them to hold Ingram. They've shown they can't. They haven't held him under 30 either time they've played. So Ingram for points looks like another fantastic pick for today. It also liked Barrett for points at 15. So if we look at the blue dots have been right around that 15. He's had the yellow dots a little higher, 20 and better on the road. At home, the blue dots have been much better. He's had, let's see, and these do go back till the end of February or the end of December because he did miss quite a few games. So had one at 17, but the rest of those have been close to 20 and better. But recently, he's been scoring a lot since he's come back. It just hasn't been the closest similar games. So he's been at, let's see, this one is 16. So he's been at 16 or better in every game this month so far. I don't see any reason why he can't get there. Obviously, he did only score 13 the last time they played. He only played 25 minutes. His minutes are back up again into the 30s. So I would imagine he's going to get a little bit more. 15, I would take as a floor. Not sure you'll get a whole lot of juice on those odds, but I do think you can go 20 or better. If you look at these, I mean, 27, 22, take out that 16, a 25, 31, 25, 20, 21. So he's been 20 or better in most of these games. I do think, again, good matchup. So next one is going to be Bezelis. It likes him for 15 points. So if you look at him, road games, he's been very good. Home games against similar teams, he hasn't been quite as good. His best game was against a similar team, but he's had his worst games all against what was considered similar teams, including this 4-point game against Toronto in their last matchup. And it's not like he didn't play. He played 31 minutes. That game was also at home. So that is a little bit concerning to me. Recent 25 games, though, he's hit it in 76% and 18.3 points in those games. On the season, he's averaged 16, 61% of the games he's hit it in. He has been better on the road. They will be playing in Chicago today, but he's hit it in 70% and averaged 17.6 in these games. It's just the similar matchups by the composite score is just not showing that it's showing he has a very high ceiling and a very low floor. So the model's giving him 19. It's giving him a 74.5% chance to hit the 15. Not one of my favorites, though. If you look at overall, I mean, you can see a lot of the recent games. So he missed some games too, I guess. But that's just, I don't know. I just don't like all of the blue dots. Like I said, I like them to be separated, but I like them to be separated up at the top. I want them to be where I can take a point and go over and go for that. There's too much on this bottom section for me to take that tonight. While I do think there's still a very good chance he could get it. Next one is going to be Giddey at 7 assists. So he's only missed one game at 7 assists on the road. He's missed a few more at home, including the blue dots. So again, most of these blue dots are down at 7 or below. Obviously, he's missed time. Every game recently, though, has been 8 or above. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 8 games straight he's had with eight assists or better. So coming back from injury, obviously looking very good. The most recent 25 games, he's hit this in 72%, averaging 9 over that time. Close to the same average, better hit rate than on the season. At home, he has been a little bit worse. On the road, he is averaging about 11 and hit that in 9 of the 10. At home, he's only hit it in 9 of the 15, and he's averaging 7.7. Model's giving him about a 9 on the prediction and 68% chance to hit 7 or better. With his recent play, I don't know you're going to find him at 7 at a decent line. The closest game, he did get 10. Let's see, that was against the Clippers 2 games ago. He had 10, but the other closest games, like I said, he had 5, he had 7. So I'm just a little cautious of him on this game, even though the ceiling is astronomically high for Giddey on assists. The next one was Scotty Barnes. Likes him for assists. Also has him at 5. Recently, he has not been doing very well. He's missed this in the last 4 road games. He only had 5 in the one before that. At home, he has been a little bit better, but this is on the road. This is in Chicago. If we go to the Chicago games, he had 7 at home. He did have 5 on the road. Because of all of Chicago's changes from the trade deadline, from Giddey being out to coming back, things like that. Chicago was a mid on this one. It did not have them as the closest, so that would have been on the 19th. It would have been this game right here that he did go over, the only one on the road since the All-Star break. So while it's possible, things haven't been trending in that direction. If you look at overall, he was doing really well before the All-Star break, and he's just had a couple games where he's gone over since. So still kind of the chance is what the model's giving it. it likes him because of how consistent he's been overall. But just on the recent play, recent trends, it's not something that I'm necessarily liking. Uh, Next is going to be Minnesota. I don't know who all is going to sit out from them. They obviously played last night too. Second day of a back-to-back, also without Ant-Man. I would imagine Dante is going to play without Ant-Man. So this game is at home. It likes Dante for threes, but this is his road graph. He has one similar. Closest was at 5. Another close at 5. Recent games, though, not so well. At home, also not doing as well. He's had 2s, some 3s, but he's also had some 0s recently, including last night. He had 0 against Phoenix. Did play 28 minutes. I think he had 6 or 7 attempts. He just didn't make any. So if you look at recent play, was doing really well before the All-Star break, only missed 2. And since the All-Star break, he came back kind of hot, and he has missed this line in 5 of the last 7 games overall. So Dante's been cooling off. He should have plenty of opportunities tonight. It's just going to be if he can get them to fall or not. I don't think it's something I would take unless you're going to try to take him at a 3 or a 4 and try to just take the odds there and hope that he goes off. Without Ant-Man, he's obviously gonna get shots. There's no way he doesn't. But I don't think that he's been showing that he can get there right now. Next one, Rudy. Rudy's rebounds, obviously, he can get there very quick. He had 19 last night, and I think he had most of those in the first half. So even if his minutes get limited, he could do well. Second day of a back-to-back, also against Utah. Not a great team, so could be a blowout if they can get rolling. They did well without Ant-Man against Phoenix last night. I think Phoenix is a better team than Utah, obviously. But last night, Phoenix was the team on a second day of a back-to-back. Tonight, it's Minnesota. We'll have to see how that turns out. So overall, for Rudy, he has actually missed this line in 4 of the last 5 games. He has a 7, he has a 9, he has a 5, and an 8. So he has a very, very high ceiling. Well, I guess I should say 4 of the last 6 games because you can't see his 19 from last night all the way up there under the legend. But all of these are close and closest games that he's been missing down here. So that kind of concerns me a little bit. If you go to the home, he had an 8, and he's had a couple up at 12. So, like I said yesterday, if you watch the video, it's not just his play. Sometimes it is his fouls. He can get into foul trouble early. If he gets into foul trouble early, if it gets into a blowout late, his minutes get limited. He could end up not getting there. He had 5 and 26 minutes here. He had 12 and 27 minutes there. So he had 8 and 27 here and 6 and 32 here. So he's someone that I haven't quite figured out because there's games where he looks really good and then he just can't get there. There's other games where he's going up against someone who looks like they're going to give him a good matchup and he ends up with 14. So obviously a high ceiling again. You could try to play him at a plus odds and just hope he gets to the potential. But he also has a very low floor. He could end up right around 8, and I know there's going to be nothing for him at 8 rebounds. So on the last 25, he has hit this line in 64% of the games, 11.3 average, very close to what his season average is. Not much different between home and away. He is at home, higher average, less hit rate. On the season, way lower hit rate. But the average still, again, very close. Like I said, the potential is always there. It's just, does he actually follow through? Model has him at 12, has him at a 74% chance to go over the 10. Similar games, he's only hit it in 5 of the 10. His average is under that 10. So one of the games that just makes me question if I would want to go with Rudy. I don't think I would take him tonight, but I do think obviously the chance is there. I mean, he could go for another 15. So next one, Julius Randle. I do think I like this one perhaps a little bit better. Randle had 7 against Phoenix yesterday on the road. Obviously, some of these close ones a little bit lower. The closest at a 6 and an 8. If you go to the home, the blue dots get a little bit better. He has this blue mist back here. The rest are at 7 or better. The close ones are up higher. The last 4 he's been above at home. And just recently in general, he has hit this in 7 of the last 9 games. So looking pretty good for Julius. With Ant-Man out, he should have more opportunities. Not that Ant-Man's getting tons of rebounds, but he does fight for some. So I do like this line as long as he's playing tonight on the second day of the back-to-back. Last 25, he has hit this in 64% of the games, averaging 6.8 on the season. It's a little bit better on the average, but 5% worse on the hit rate. Recently, though, at home, he's hit this in 71% of the home games, averaging 7.3 over that time. So 1.3 better at home, about 17% better hit rate at home. So I do like that for the recent. The model's got him at 6.5, so it doesn't quite have him at the 7. It has him at a 51% chance to get the 7, but a lot of these are right at 7. He's had some that have dropped really low. A lot of this was right after the All-Star break, and then just a couple recently. But looking at the home ones, I really like the way this graph is looking. He's only missed 4 of these out of 14 in the last 25 games he's played. 14 of them were at home. He's got 10 of those 14. Looks really good to me. 7.2 average on the blue dots, and the most recent ones are at 8 and 9. So I do think Julius Randle, excuse me, would be a good chance to hit 7 tonight. Not sure again what the line is. Perhaps you could even buy him down a little bit and get something a little bit better. All right, next one's gonna be Benedict Mathurin for the Clippers, going on to LA and New Orleans now. So LA is going to be in New Orleans. If you look at his road games, blue dot 25, 25, and about 22, it looks like, and 16. So on the road, very good against similar competition. Some of these games would be when he was still with Indiana. Some of them when he's with the Clippers. So with the Clippers would be, I believe, from here on. Maybe this one was with Indiana. Not entirely sure. But either way, these two for sure. These 3 are all with the Clippers. All been really good. So I do like the way that's looking on the road. At home, he has a couple of misses. Actually, just one that's a blue dot. This one just barely went over. So 16 or better still. I don't know what his line is. Leonard was questionable. I don't know if Garland. I feel like I might have saw his name on the list too. Not sure. So depending on if he's going to play, he could end up getting starter minutes. He could come off the bench. Normally, he's coming off the bench even if players are out. So last 25 games overall, 68% of these games he's hit 15, averaging 18.6 in that time. Very similar to what his season average is. Again, on the road, 66% hit rate, 17 average. And so that's going all the way back to all of these. He has these green dots. These are dragging his average down quite a bit, actually. So those will be, let's see, those are the mids. That would be San Antonio, and that would be, what is that other one? I don't think the other one's on there. I don't know. Either way, those are pulling his average way down. So his average, other than those games on the road, has been way above 15 because these 25s would pull it up. So if you just look at the blue dot average, that's at 22. So either way, I do think he's got a very solid matchup. The model's got him at 19, almost 19 and a half on prediction, 67% chance to go over the 15. Against the opponent's points allowed is what obviously points will go off of as the primary metric. 115.6 recently. He's got that at 4 of the 6 games and 21.5 point average in those games. So all of that is pointing in the direction of his points look very good to me. I also likes him for rebounds. Let me get those pulled up. Perhaps you would want to take him for a points and rebounds combo. So on the road, very high ceiling. It does have a couple that have been a little bit lower. This other closest one on the road was San Antonio. So tough matchup. He only had 3 rebounds there. He just played San Antonio again. He had 4. a couple nights ago. So this is the San Antonio matchup at home. This is the San Antonio matchup on the road. Other than those, he's been doing pretty well. San Antonio's a tough team. So unless you think he's going to have a San Antonio type game, rebounds also look very well for Matherin today. Um, yeah, I mean five or better, six or better. It looks like he could even get 7 or 8 possibly. So points and rebounds looks like that could be a really good combo if you wanted to go that route for him. Again, check the injury list because if Kawhi doesn't play, obviously that's going to help him out a whole lot more. If Kawhi does play, he may not get quite as many shots, might not get as many points. Rebounds should still be there, I would think. Kawhi's going to grab some, but with him coming off the bench, Kawhi being a starter, obviously they don't overlap tons. They get plenty of time where they're not in there, so should still be good. Speaking of Kawhi, let's go ahead and look at the ones they like for him. So if he does play it, it likes his threes, likes him for 2. On the road, I'm not sure I would necessarily want to take this. Last game closest, he had 0. Other close and closest ones, he had 1. He had a couple close that were good, but nothing great on the road. Even at home, he has no zeros, only 2 ones. So if he was at home, I think I would like that a whole lot better. Being on the road, I'm not sure that I would take that. If you just look at the splits for the home and the away, so averages 1 better at home on the season, averages 0.9 better in the last 25 games at home. The hit rate's about 40% better. So yeah, this isn't one I'm going to even spend any more time on, just because it doesn't look like something he's going to get on the road. Now points, on the other hand, he could still get there. Points, if you look at the closest games, he still did get up to 28 in that game. Is that what that was? Yeah, 28 in Memphis. Even though he didn't get the threes, he still scored. Got up over 30 in the next closest one. This close one ended up under. That's the only one that's a similar matchup that was under. Most of these have all been really close to 25, if not 25 and over. The blue up at 30. So overall, in the last 25 games, still Blue Dots averaging right at 30 points. Just a few that have been under. Most recent games, all over. So this all, like I said, will depend on if he plays. Last 25 games, he's averaged 28.9. 72% of the games have gone over 25. Pretty similar to what he's had on the season. Hit rate's better in the last 25. The average is just slightly lower, half a point. If you look at home and away, so he is 15% better at home. He is 2.5 points better at home, but still very good hit rate, 64%, and 27.5 on the average. So still not bad. Model has him at 27.4, has him at 54% or 58.4% chance to go over. He had 23 in a past matchup against him, and he is 6 of 10 with a 27.3 average against similar teams. So obviously, he could go down. These 2 games were his first games back from injury. So if you take those out too, I mean, he's hit this in the last 8 games overall. So that would look pretty good to me. Again, check the injury report. Make sure he is going to play. It does like Trey Murphy for 5 rebounds. Trey Murphy on the road, very good. All these blue dots, 6 or better. A couple yellow dots down there at home, still pretty good. Just 1 blue dot way back at the end of January at 4. Most recently at 7 with a yellow at 5. So for 5 or better, he's hit this in the last 6 games. First game back from injury, he only had 2. So I would kind of throw that out. These were probably when he was starting to deal with his injury. Actually, that was right before the All-Star break, so he missed a lot. So yeah, that was first game back. I wouldn't worry about that too much. 5 or better looks really good. Honestly, it looks like he could get 7. 7 has been the sweet spot for these blue dots since he's been back. 6 before was a floor, with 7 and up to a 9 before the All-Star break. So last 25 games, he's averaging 5, hit it in 60% of the games, so 15 of those 25. Overall in the season, hit rate's a little better, average is a little better. He has been a little bit better on the road than at home, but I think a lot of these home games were back before the All-Star break. Again, last 3 at home have been 5 or better. Model has him just under 5 on the prediction, but it has him at a 54, almost 55% chance to go over and hit that 5. So it's still liking him on there. If you look at the closest 8 matchups, he's hit that in 8 of the 10, and he's averaged 6 in those games. So averaged over 1 over that 5. So if you can find him at 5, I think that's a very solid option, but I do think you could even go up to 6, perhaps even 7. I think one thing you need, DeJounte Murray, actually, with his threes would be a little bit of a worry, but on rebounds, he's still been pretty good with Murray back. So if Murray does play, I know he was questionable. I would question his points and threes a little bit more. That's not on this list, so I'm not going to go through those. But the rebounds have still been steady. Next one, Darius Garland. Likes him for 15 points as well. So if we look at Garland on the road, he did miss on this one. He ended up with 12. This one he ended up over 20. That would be the closest similarity score. These were all with Cleveland, so take that for what you want. Recent games, all of these will be with the Clippers. He missed that very first one, but he's been over in the last 4. He's been over 20 in the last 4. So again, he missed the very first 2 games he had with the Clippers. He ended up at 12 on each of those, and he has been at 21 points or better in all 5 since then. So looks really good. This is having him predicted at 17 with a 61% chance to go over 15. With the way he's been playing with the Clippers, I don't think you'll find him at 15 with a good odd for points. I didn't look. I would assume you're probably going to find him closer to that 20, maybe even up to the 21, 22 on his line today. So looks at good for 18, for 20. Looks good for perhaps even 25. He's hit that in the last 2 games. The last 25 games overall, a lot of these are going to be with Cleveland. So if you want, let's look at just what he's done with the Clippers. So he's been there for 8 games. So Darius Garland. And let's just look at him for 20 points in the last 8 games. All right, so I must have been 7 games. I don't know. I got one game with Cleveland in there still. So he had the 12, and he had one at 21. At home, he had the 12. Everything's been above. So he's been really good. In the last 8 games, he's hit 20 points in 75%. He's had a 19.88 average in that time. On the road, 17.7 points, 66% hit rate. So obviously, much better hit rate than what he has had on the road for the season. He hasn't played a lot of games though this year. 17.3 points, 41% hit rate, or 41% chance to go over 20 is what it's giving it. But again, this model is still getting a little skewed from him being in Cleveland. It hasn't fully factored all of that out because it does most of that through rolling averages and things like that. And he has only played 7 games with the Clippers. So in the similarity scores, he's hit it in 5 of the 10 games, and he's averaged 18.7 in those games. So a lot of things look pretty good. If you go off of opponents' points allowed, 15. So that would put him right in here. 1 of 2 games, he has hit 20 points. One of the other games looks like was a 12. So looks pretty good. I do like Garland, especially if Kawhi ends up not playing. Obviously, he'll get a little bit of a boost there. The next one is going to be Sadiq Bey. It likes him for 14.5 points. Here is another one that I would worry about if DeJounte Murray is going to play or not. These 2 games right here, DeJounte Murray just played. Those were some of his best games. Those were some of the games where he had the most minutes. And Sadiq Bey seems to be the one that hurt the most, at least scoring-wise, from those. So if we look at the road, which they're not on the road, he has that one. And then the other ones all look pretty good, but a lot of this was before Murray was back or was fully back. At home, he does look very good, but again, I would check that injury report. If DeJounte Murray is not playing, then I would or isn't playing, I would probably go for this a little more. If he is playing, this is not one I would take until you see a little bit more of how they're going to factor in once Murray's fully healthy. If you do look at this graph, you may notice that the red dots disappeared. There are none that were in the close bracket. So the yellow and green, the mid and far moved up in color. I need to fix that still. So the ones that are red in others were the far. The ones that were green in the others were the mid. So there's there's technically no yellow dots from this one in this graph, is what I'm trying to say. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense to you. But that's why it looks like that. So it's just closest and then mid and far. So he's got these two blue, and then these would have been the green, and these would have been the red in the other. So not very similar matchups at home. The DeJounte Murray factor, just not something I would take. Model does have him predicted at 19, has him at a 70% chance to go over. Obviously, good hit rate, good average recently, especially at home. Well, home and away, but just I would give that a couple games. Honestly, I like DeJounte Murray for points probably better if he plays, just because of the way things have been going with that. So we got Alexander Walker, got him for 3 threes. So they are on the road. Atlanta is going to Dallas. His last road game was the game, or let's see, that last road game was Milwaukee. He had 5 in Milwaukee. His last home game, he had 9 against Orlando. So he's been hitting 3 or more very consistently recently. Some of these games have ended up at 2. I think you can still find him at a line that would be okay to parlay with it too, and that would take quite a bit of risk out. But he looks quite good for 3. Being on the road, he's hit this in, let's see, 2, 4, 5 of the last 7 games. The Blue Dots are averaging 3.7 from those 3. Overall, in the last 25 games, home and away, the Blue Dots are averaging 4. So he's been doing very well against similar matchups. I would expect that to still happen today. Dallas does defend the 3 pretty well, but there's still players that are hitting them. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But last 25 games, he has hit this in 64%. He's averaged 3.36 in that time. That is better than his season average, and the hit rate is better than his season average. On the road, he is slightly worse. He's averaging 3 still, 55.6% hit rate though, so he's down half on the average and down 13% on the hit rate. The model has him predicted exactly at 3, has him at a 60% chance to get 3 or better today. In similar games, he's averaged exactly 3, and he's hit it in 5 of 10. So again, the ceiling is very high. If he's on, he can definitely start knocking them down. He's going to put up the attempts. There's no doubt about that. Unless he gets in foul trouble or something, he will be shooting the ball. It's just going to depend on if they're dropping for him or not. So I do think 3 is a very solid line. I think if you wanted to try to single and get a little bit more value out of it, you could go to 4. You could probably even go to 5. 5 would be extremely risky. I wouldn't really suggest it, but the data here shows that it's very, very possible. If you go to the road games, he's had 2 that were 5. One, the most recent, was a similar matchup, and then he had a 4 that was right behind it. So the possibility is there. I think I would stick around 3, but you are free to do whatever you want. All right, PJ Washington rebounds 4.5. I don't know you'll find him at 5, but that's the line it gave. It did not go up to 7 for him. So if you look at his recent games, on the road, very, very good. He's hit this line in the 7 most recent away games. He's hit this line in 4 of his 5 most recent home games. Overall, very solid above 5. The one thing with this is Gafford and him have both been kind of in and out, and I think they both might be playing today. So some of these games he still did play with Gafford. I believe this game, Gafford and him both did play. They both got good rebounds. So it's not saying that he won't get them, but it could take away a few. If you look at the close games, though, the last 3 games overall have been in the close range. The closest, there's been 2 others. All those have been 5 or better. Like I said, the last 7 overall, he has been at 5 or better. 4 of those, he's been at 7 or better. So at 5 or better, the last 25, he's had 76% hit rate and he's averaged 6. That is down from the season average. So season average is 84% and 7. So that he's actually been pretty good all season long. And once he gets healthier again, I don't think this will be his line will definitely be 7 or 8 again every single day. Could be there today. Closest 10 games by matchup, he's hit this in 7 of those 10, and he's averaged 6.3 in those games. Model has him at 6 for today and a 66% chance to go over 5. If you look at, let's see, this is a possessions for rebounds is the primary metric, 101.5. We'll put us right here. He has hit it in all 6 games, and he's averaged 7.33. So that is his best quartile. So things do look very good for Washington to at least get 5. If you're going to play him at 5, I think you'll definitely want to try to pair him with something. I don't think you'll have uh, very good odds, but it looks good. So next one is Okongwu. We got him for 7 rebounds. They will be on the road. These are his road games. He has 2 that are in the closest, and he's had 9 in each of those games. The next close, he had 6. This does go all the way back to the beginning of January, so keep that in mind. He has missed some games. If you look at the home games, he's obviously had some really good games. There has been more of those recently. So overall, he's hit this line in 3, 6, 9 of the last 12 games. 3 of those have been the closest. All of those have been over. 4 of the 5 close have been over. The close ones have been at 10 or above mostly. The closest have been at 8 or at 9. So looks very good for 7 or more. I do think you could even take him a little higher. I think 9 or even 10 is possible. He may end up with a double-double today if you wanted to possibly throw some money that way. Again, I'm just going to try to throw data out here. Take what you want and play it however you want, however risky you want to get. I try to stay on the lower side, parlay a few together, and do it that way. But if you like to go for one single solid one, a double seems possible here. Obviously, like I said, Dallas does have, it looks like, Gafford and Washington back. So that will help their rebounds. Could take some away from him. He could end up a little short. So maybe you want to play him at points and rebounds combo, or just at 7 rebounds, whatever. But he's hit this line in 64%. He's averaged 7.7, very close to what his season average is. Not a whole lot of difference on home and away. Slightly better hit rate, and about 0.5 better on the average at home in the last 25 games. On the season, about 0.6 better, and about 22% on the hit rate better. So recently, though, there's not a whole lot different. It does have him predicted at 8 by the model. It has him at 67.5% chance to hit 7 or better. He has averaged 8 and hit 7 or better in 8 of the 10 closest games by matchup, including 9 in the previous matchup against Dallas. So that would be this one right here. That one was at home. So this one will be on the road. I don't know. Let's see. That was on the 10th. If we go up to Washington, he did play in that game. He had 6 of them. So looks pretty good to me for Okongwu. I mean, the hit rate's been really good recently. And let's go. It also likes Okongwu for his threes. Again, Dallas does defend the 3 pretty well, but he did have 3 against Dallas at home. So on the road, he has one closest game here. He had 3. He had a 2 and a 3. He had 1 with 0. That 0 was Washington. So he only played 26 minutes in that game. That was one of his lowest minutes games. At home, all of the blue dots are 0. So a little bit concerning there. Like I said, this composite score can change from home to away. Dallas is in the close range on this one. So their home and away metrics must be different from each other, because even in just a 4-game difference, it has a difference of close and closest. They're not in the same quartile. So that's something to consider too, or even just maybe it's him. I don't know. 0's down here, but he hits 3 against them, so could be the way he matches up against these teams on 3-pointers. Either way, these home games don't look good, but a lot of the other games do. He's only missed this line in 2 of the 10 away games in his last 25 games. He's had 6 games that were 3 or better. So for him to hit 2 does look pretty decent to me still. He, like I said, 3 against him last time. So last 25 games, he's hit this in 68% of the games. He's had a 2.3 average. That is better than his season average for both average and hit rate. He's hit this line in 8 of the 10 away games, averaging 2.5 over that time in the last 25 games. So model has him predicted at 2.2, 64.4% chance to hit that. He's averaging right at 2, and he's hit it in 5 of the 10 closest games on the season. So, but he's been doing better recently. So to me, that still puts it right at that 2. I do think this is a solid option. Normally his line isn't too bad for 2. So, and then we got Walker for points. It likes him for 20 points. All right, so Nikhil Alexander Walker. On the road, he does have this 14. That one would be against Philly. Played 33 minutes in that game. The other closest games, he has been 22 or better. So that looks pretty good. At home, he has a couple that are a little bit closer, with a very high game that he had against Orlando, 41 points the other night. But on the road, it separates it a little bit better. He has some lower games here, but the closest games have been mostly better. So it's not anything that I necessarily love on this one, I don't think. I think if you can find him around 15, I would like that a lot better. Maybe play that with a couple threes. If you can get him at 15 or 18 points with 2 threes and get plus money on it, maybe that one would be a little bit better. Pair it with Okongwu or something, but I'm not sure I would want to necessarily stretch it to the 20 points. The ceiling is there, but he's had quite a few games that have ended up right around that 15 to 18 point mark too. That would worry me a little bit, make it a little bit sweatier. Last one we're going to look at is Jalen Johnson. It likes him for 7 assists. So on the road, it does have this one down here where he had 0. He only played 5 minutes against Washington in that game. Most of the other ones, 7 or better, he's hit it in 6 straight road games other than that one. So at home, the Blue Dots have been better. Been at 8, been at 9, and been at 12. So that looks good. He's hit this line in 6 straight home games. And he's hit this line, like I said, other than that 5-minute one, in 6 straight road games. Overall, looks really good. Just had these right here, but very, very solid. If you can get them at 6, which you probably can't, 6 would be a lower floor, but that's before the All-Star break. Everything since has been 7 or better. I like it. I do think 7. I do think he could get to 8. Obviously, with Johnson, he is an all-around player. You may want to take him for PRA or something. When his assists look better, he's still normally good for rebounds, good for points. So all of that could be pretty good for him. Next one is going to be Denver going to Memphis. Got Jalen Wells. It likes him for 2 threes. I do believe last time I saw this was still right around negative 160. So negative 160 is not too bad for this. He's been hitting this line on the road. Very solid. He's hit it in 10 of the last 10 of the last 11 road games. And he's hit this in, let's see, take those out, 7 of the last 8 home games. So he's only missed this line twice. He's had 2 zeros since the beginning of February. Other than that, he has been 2+ in every single game. So very, very solid. Last 25 games, he's hit this in 76% of the games, averaging 2.3. That is 0.4 better and 15% better than his season averages. He has been pretty consistent. The overall, or the average is better, but the hit rate's pretty close for the home versus away. Not a lot different there. So it's got him predicted at 2.15 with a 68.1% chance to go over. He did have 2 in a previous matchup. his hit rate is good on this, so he's hit it in 6 of the 10 games, but his average is actually only 1.6. So some of those zeros, probably not these because these aren't blue, but some of the games that have been matched up similarly throughout the season, he must have had zeros because that average, even though he's hit it in more than half the games, is below what this line actually is. So if we look at defensive rating, 116, that will put him down here, kind of in between these two. So he's hit it in 10 of the 12 between the two, and he's averaged right around 2.5 in those. Those are his two best quartiles. So all of that to me looks really good. I do think Jalen Wells should have a really good opportunity, especially with all of the injuries that they have. I guess I haven't checked. I don't think he'll be on there. I haven't seen him on the injury list really. So him for 2 threes looks very solid. Oops, flip that. Next one is going to be Jokic for 10 assists. Obviously, he can get there in away games. He has averaged 12 for the Blue Dots. He has a 12. He has a 7, and he has a 17. It looks like. So the close ones, he's been down at 5. He's been up at 12 and up at 14. If you go to home games, still been pretty solid with the blue and yellow dots. So he's got these 3 that have been below 10, but most of the similar games have been above 10 for him. So I could see him, if you can find him at 9, obviously that'll take this risk out, but that's the only risk. 8 would be this one. So he's had some that have been 7 or below, but most of these are the red dots. Those are what they consider the farthest from the matchup today, from the composite score. All of these close ones have been pretty good. So Jokic for 10 assists looks pretty good. They are on the second day of a back-to-back. It doesn't show. Yeah, I'm going to have to re-scrape the data because it only has some of these games for today. But, or from last night. But I believe he had like 14 assists last night also. So that would be back-to-back games that he's had 14 assists. He's been clearing this line pretty consistently against similar teams. So I do think this probably could be a triple-double sort of night for Jokic, given his the fact that assists tend to be assists and rebounds. Oh, well, I didn't mean to do rebounds. I was just thinking about it. But we'll look at it real quick. Again, yeah, similar games up there at about 17 and a half on road games. So Jokic rebounds looks very good for at least 12 plus again. It doesn't have last night's. Last night was at home for them, I believe, but he only had 7 or 8, I think. So that's not looking great. But again, if you look at the away, I mean, he is averaging 14.4 with a 78.6% hit rate on 10 or better in the last 25 games. So Jokic for rebounds looks really good. We'll look at the points because that's what I meant to do. So I think a triple-double, if you want to play Jokic for a triple-double, looks very, very, very solid for tonight. On his points for 25 away games, this splits a little bit more where I don't like to see it. You got blues down here. You got every single color at the bottom. Got every single color at the top. Only 3 games or 4 games below on this one. Still almost every single color. And the blue barely made it over. So points is not my favorite for Jokic tonight. I do think this could be more of a rebounds and assist game for him. Again, second day of a back-to-back. I don't even know if he's going to play. I'm pretty sure he does. He seems to play when he can. But I do like the rebounds. I do like the assists better than I like his points today. And it likes Jamal Murray for assists on there. All right. He had a 5 the very first game back there, that 12th game back, and he had 1 in double digits, so that looks good. But he also has a 2 here. He has a 6. Well, that 2, I think, was the game he left. Nope, he had a 1 at home against Boston that he left. So his assists recently have been right around 6. Not really clearing that 7. If you look at home, it even gets worse. So if you look at the overall, yeah, it gets even worse. Really good before the break. Now that Jokic is back, he has definitely fallen off a little bit. And he hasn't even been scoring as much. So I guess he's waiting Didn't even wait for the playoffs for a drop off this year. So I don't think I would take Murray. The model put him in there for 7. If you like him, go for it. But that is not something I'm taking. We will get to this last game now. Lakers going back to Houston. Second game in 3 nights in Houston. So Thompson rebounds at 7 is what it likes. He has missed this in some road games, but all the blue dots have been over and at a 9.8 average for the blue dots on the road. If you go to home, still right there, right at 10. He has an 8. He has a 12. That 12 was the game against LA just the other night. So all of these yellow dots have been 7 or better. The blue all have been 8 or better. This looks like a very solid matchup to me. He's only missed this 3 times since the All-Star break. So in the last 25 games, he's hit this line in 68%. He's averaged 7.8 in that time. Pretty close to the overall averages. He has been slightly better on the road rather than at home where this one will be, but still averaging 7.5 at home with a 66.7% hit rate. So 10 of the 15 games, he's still hit over 7. Model has him at 8.35, has him at a 73% chance to go over the 7. He did have 12 the other day. Similar matchups, he's hit 9 of the 10. He's had 7 or better, and he's averaged 9.4 in those games. So the way he's matching up for this game against the Lakers, he had 12 the other day. Very good against similar teams all season long. So Thompson looks very, very good for 7 or better. I believe his line was only 8 last I looked. So if you can still find him at 8, that looks pretty solid also. Actually, let's do his assists real quick. I liked him for 5 assists as well. So on the road, his assists haven't been quite as good recently. He had a good one against a similar team. At home, though, he has been 5 or better in the last 5 games. He did miss this one right before or right after the All-Star break, couple right before, but these blue dots have been really good at home. So similar teams, he's been very, very solid. He's averaged 7.1 in the closest 25% of the games by composite score. So that is very solid. He did have 5 in the game against the Lakers in the last game. So he's hit this line in 64% of the most recent 25. He's averaged 5.7 in that game. Both of those are better than his season averages. If you look at home away splits, he is averaging 0.8 better, and the hit rate is almost 23% better than the away for the home in the last 25. So he's been doing better in the last 25, and the better has been at home. So that all looks good to me. 5.2 on the prediction and a 61% chance to go over 5 today. He did have 5 in the previous matchup. He's averaged 5.7 in similar matchups, and he's only hit it in 5 of the 10. So not quite as good as the rebounds, but the average is still there. I do think 5 is a solid line to go for. Obviously, there's a little bit of risk, but if you go back to the home, he's been really good in home games for this. He only has 1 blue and 1 yellow dot, those similar closest games that have been below in the home game. So I do like the way that's lining up, matching up for him tonight. Next, we will go. You can look at Kevin Durant. Likes him for rebounds. All right, so KD on the road, he's only missed 2. Been 5 or less on 2 of those games, of those 8 games or those 10 games. At home, he's also been very good. The last game he did have 5 against the Lakers. The other similar game, he had 8 from the home games. He's also had an 8 in the close and a 6 in the close. He has not been under 5 at home since the beginning of February, and he's only missed it 2. He's been 11 of the last 13 games he's been 5 or better at home. So that's very good. 80% of the games in the last 25%, he's hit it over. He's had 5.7 average in that. Both of those are better than his season averages. He is very consistent. 80% both home and away. 5.7 at home, 5.8 away. So 5 is just a very consistent number for him. The model has him at 6 on a prediction and 73% chance to go 5 or better. In similar games, he's hit 5 or better in 8 of those 10, and he's had a 5.5 average. So all of that's looking pretty good to me. This does go off of pace. So it's between this one and this one here. So in the recent samples, it's not his better ones, but overall, he has still been doing really well against similar matchups. And he's still been 5 or better very, very consistently in the last 25 games. I mean, only one miss, and he had 4 in that one since February 7th. So I do think KD is another good chance to, or another good play that you could take. Next, let's finish out the Rockets. We'll do Jabari. It likes him for 15 points. So on the road, in similar matchups, he's had a couple. He had a 13, and he did have one that was over 20, so it averages out at 17. The other close was at 19. We'll go to the home where he is now. All right, so let's check that out. He's missed some games. So this one down here, this blue dot, while it is not good, he did play 43 minutes. That was a game where he hadn't played. He didn't play from February 26th. He played that game, and he didn't come back until the 10th. So he definitely wasn't right for that game. Since he's come back, he has been at 16 or better in the home games. So all of that looks good. I do think I wouldn't worry about that, and I would just look at these games right here. At home, he's been really, really solid. Obviously, he has some blue dots back here that he missed, but he's been in the last 25 games, 56% has been over 15, and he's averaged 16 in that time. So hit rate a little bit less, but the average is better. He has been better at home though. 62.5% hit rate, so about 18% better at home than on the road, and a 1 point average better in the last 25 games. The model has him predicted at 17.7 with a 69% chance to go over the 15. He did have 22 in the last game against them. He's hit this line in 5 of the 10, but the average just isn't there. This probably is in there, and it would drag that average down quite a bit. So I do think the 15 is still a very solid chance for him to get. Just with recent play, if you can find him at 12 or whatever, and you want to make it a little bit safer and pair it with something, I certainly wouldn't blame you. But 15 seems pretty good. I would expect KD to probably get a little bit more points today, though. After his comment about the offense falling on him in the last game, I think he may be shooting a few more threes, trying to get some looks that he may not normally take. I don't know. That's just the feeling I have for it. So we'll look at Austin Reeves real quick. It likes him for 20 points. And I'm going to tell you exactly why I don't like him for 20 points. Since he's been injured and came back, he has not hit this line on the road. He has missed this line in 6 straight games on the road. He has been averaging, because of this one game where he had 36, it pulled his average up to 20.2. But he's been at, 18, all these closest games, 18, 15 in the last game against him. So it's just not looking good. If you look at his home, things look a lot better. Obviously, there is potential to get there. I don't think he just ultimately sucks on the road altogether. But so far, since he's been back, he just hasn't shown that he's going to go over that. So I don't know what his line is at today, but the model threw him up there for 20 points. I would not take him for 20. If you can find him at 15, obviously 15 looks way better. But even that seems like it could be a little sketchy. He just hasn't been great on the road since he's come back. So he's only hit this line in 32% of his overall games. He's averaged 21 points in those games. This is the last 25. He's played 42 on the season. His hit rate is better. It is 55% on the season and a 24 average. But the recent play, the home away play, so he's only hit this in 2 of the 9 road games in the last 25. And like I said, the average is up there, but it's because he has these 2 games where he scored a lot. If you take those off, if we look at Austin Reeves and his points, How many games is that? Let's say the last 20 games. That away average falls to 15.6. He has hit it in none of the last 5 games. Even the home average, he's only hit it in 4. The average is up there, but the hit rate isn't there. So the model has him predicted at 23, has him at a 59% chance to go over 20. He's averaged 23.5 in similar matchups. He's just only hit it in 4 of the 10 games. So again, this is one, the ceiling is there. He can score a lot of points, but will he get to the floor? Will he get to the 20 before he can get to that 35 is the question. So I haven't seen it on the road. If he was at home, I would like it a little bit better. Houston, after losing the last game, I just I I don't expect him to get a whole lot of open looks for it. It also likes him for 2 threes. Maybe you would want to go that route instead. Slightly better. He has had 2 threes in 2 of those 5 games since he's been back, but he hasn't been more than 2. Again, at home, much better games overall. So the overall 2 or better looks okay. It's just this way graph to me. I just don't like it. He had none in their last game. Says he's played them twice and he had 1 in a game before that, I guess. 99 of the 10 games he has gone over in similar matchups. He's averaged 2.5. So, and that this doesn't just do home and away. This does the overall composite score, which does factor in home and away, but it also factors in many other team metrics, individual metrics to try to find it. So, similar games, he has had a lot of success with threes. I think threes would probably be your better bet to go on this. If you can find him at 2, obviously, this little guy down here, I would worry about. I'm not playing him for threes, but I would not blame you if you did. All right, we will go to LeBron and his assists. It likes him at 5. LeBron has been 5 or better in 12 of his last 13 home or road games, including 5 against Houston in the last game, and he had 5 in the game against them previously. In 8 of the 10 similar games, he has hit 5 or more, averaging 5.5 in that time. So away looks good. Even the home looks good. He's only missed 1 of the last 12 in that. So he's only missed 2 out of the last 25 games overall. So that gives him a 92% hit rate and almost a 7 average in that time, which is pretty close on the average and better on the hit rate than his season averages. So, like I said, very similar home and away. The overall average about 1.5 better at home, but the hit rate is the same for 5. So if you're going to play him for 5, not much difference. The model has him predicted at 5.6. It has him at a 61.5% chance to go over that 5. So I do think LeBron looks like a pretty good option for assists today. It also likes him for rebounds, also for 5. This he's missed a little bit more, but not much. Since the All-Star break, he's hit it in all 4 road games. Most of the blue dots, aside from this one, have been 5 or better, and he's averaged 5.6 in those games. At home, still good recently. Before the All-Star break, some of those blue dots were a little bit below. So since the All-Star break, he has hit this in 8 of the 11 games. He missed the very first 2. So he's hit it in 8 of the last 9 games, including the 2 that are the closest. So 5 or better looks pretty good. Once you go up to 6, it gets a little bit riskier. I wouldn't probably go any higher than that. You may want to play him for rebounds and assists today. That looks like a pretty good option. I think the line for that is around 10.5. So if you think he can get 5 on one and just get to 6 on the other, you can hit that over on that one. So he has on rebounds hit this line in 68% of the last 25. He's had a 5.5 average. That is 5% better than his season average and a little bit worse on the overall average. Home and away, he has been better on the road. So he does have that going for him. He's hit this in 77% of road games in the last 25. in only 58% of the home games of the last 25 games, with a .2 average better on the road. So slightly better on the road there. If you look at the overall season, better hit rate on the road, but point 0.4 worse on the overall average. So right there, pretty competitive, home and away. Doesn't really seem to matter. Seems to fall right around that 5 line. If you can get him at 4, then obviously you'll cut out this line here. There's 3 dots, including 2 of the closest matchups, but you'll still have this risk down here. I think 5 is a very solid line to go for. I do think he'll probably end up with 6 tonight. Obviously, Houston's a very good rebounding team, so he's going to have to fight for him. But it seems like it's going to be a very competitive game again on both sides. So I do think he has a good shot for at least getting 5 and probably up to about 6. And it does look like that is the end of the list for today. I didn't pull the chat up, so if anyone's been talking on there, I do apologize. Uh, I'm going to post this on YouTube if anyone wants to watch it again. So if you guys have any other questions for me, you can comment on there. I'll try to get back with you. And good luck at it.